Welcome to the panel where two bootstrap founders talk about building better businesses and a better life. I'm Justin Jackson, co-founder of Transistor.fm.
And I'm Brian Castle. I'm the creator behind Builder Methods.
Builder Methods, and now everybody's doing so many things. We're all the co-founders of all sorts of stuff, including and the spawner of AI armies.
I'm trying. I'm trying to raise my army here, you know?
Okay. So let's get it. Do we want to talk about your agent? So we could talk about your agent army.
Like what do we like what's on the agenda today, and then we'll do a quick catch up. So,
let's talk about the agenda. So agent army.
Yeah, meaning like, you know, OpenClaw, ClawBot,
but you also had a screen that you shared in your community that I want to talk about.
So I as of last night, I built a little management HQ app for managing my multiple agents that I have running on this Mac Mini through OpenClaw. But I'm still exploring and figuring out that whole thing. We'll get into all that.
Okay.
I'm trying to push through getting this Claude Code course out. Sales have been pretty good for that. And I've been recording lessons, and I'm going to push the first batch of those out probably tomorrow. A couple other like business updates. I went to Big Snow Tiny Conf last week. That was a really good time.
Oh, sweet.
Took me 12 hours to drive up there and 4 hours to drive back.
Oh, wow.
So you got some driving through a blizzard.
You got some, well, at least you got some snow.
Got a lot of snow, but it was also 0 degrees up there, so that was fun.
Oh, wow. So some cold.
Yeah. But it was a good time. Good group. What about you? What have you been up to about the last 2
I want to
weeks?
talk. I got some things on my brain.
On your agenda. Yeah.
I want to talk about why I think it's good to build fake products. That's one thing on my head.
Interesting.
What I learned from Lars Lofgren, just published the first episode of the new Marketing for Developers podcast.
Always an
members
interesting person to hear from.
Yeah. Members have access to the whole thing right now. I got to publish the public version for everyone else shortly. Very interesting. I
can't wait to hear about this. Yeah.
I've got some big high level takeaways that I think everyone will enjoy. So, and
awesome.
we're getting ready to do our founder retreat. John Buddha and I are leaving on the 24th, going to Mexico for the first time.
Ooh.
So, it's that island. It's an island off of Cancun.
Oh, is that Cozumel?
I think so.
Nice.
I'll try to confirm as we go along here.
That's great.
All right, let's get into it because I want to talk about this thing here. I'll for the folks watching live. Hey, folks! By the way, you want to join us live? Go to panel. What is our website? Panelpodcast.com.
I always forget too. Is it the panel?
Scroll to the bottom. Podcast. Join our mailing list, and I'll notify you when we go live.
Even better, I guess you've been putting this on your YouTube channel too. So subscribe to Justin's YouTube and you'll get it.
Yeah, get notified.
Or just follow us on Twitter because we always try to tweet it when we're going to go live.
Follow us on Twitter or on Bluesky. We don't have anything on LinkedIn right now, but so what?
Follow me on Twitter and follow Justin on Bluesky.
That's right. I've still avoided coming back. All right. So this is what you posted. You've got a list of 8 agents here. 8 agents configured. You've got Bernard, who's a lead developer, Bink, who's a junior developer, Vale, who's a content marketer. These are awesome.
Dude, there are like backstories behind each of these too. I've got like, and they have like personalities and like, yeah.
Okay, so this is related to your OpenClaw, Moltbook,
They live in OpenClaw. They live on a Mac Mini, these people.
Okay, so these people all live on a Mac Mini using OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Take me through it.
Okay, so like as we sit here today, which is Thursday, February 5th, I've been going deep in the rabbit hole ever since. So OpenClaw like exploded while I was at Big Snow, which was it last week or the week before? Last week. And it was sort of just so I didn't really have time to play with it then, but a couple of us were talking about it there.
Yeah.
As soon as I got home, I like literally the next day, like I ordered a Mac Mini, which is not required. I know a lot of people are doing the VPS thing. I just wanted to get any excuse to spend
Apparently they
$600
sold out of them in San Francisco. Like you couldn't buy one from Best Buy. That's what I heard.
I was able to get it delivered the next day, at least as of 2 weeks ago here in the East Coast.
It feels like we need a content warning here. I'm seeing a lot of posts about OpenClaw that seem not real to me.
There's a ton of everything. It's one of these things. First of all, just before we get into my use of it, just in the story of OpenClaw is unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if there's some tracking or record of this, but it was like the spike of popularity on this GitHub.
Yeah.
It was just a wall upward, just instant, which is, it's crazy because it's like, it's so popular, which that in itself makes it a little bit scary, right? Which means it's sort of like a big target for everything from good and bad and everything in between.
We'll see if I can pull up the star history on this thing. Oh yeah, here we go.
That also means like it's also so new and raw, which means like security updates are not fully developed yet. So big warning flag for anyone playing with this stuff.
Here's the star history.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to see a hockey stick? There it is. That's the hockey stick right there.
Yep.
So here's what I understand. Let me know if I'm wrong. So my understanding of OpenClaw is it's like running with scissors. It's allowing an autonomous agent or agents to run with scissors on a machine, often accessing Claude code, but it could be any model. And it basically takes away all the guardrails. And or you can take away a lot of the guardrails.
I mean, at the basic level, you know how like when you run Claude code, you say like you Claude code are operating in this project directory for my project.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially like you OpenClaw, you're operating like that, except you're operating on my machine, like at the machine level. So there are different configurations you can do, but out of the box with no guardrails, you are basically giving it access to your entire machine. So like rule number one, definitely don't just run it on your own machine.
Yeah.
Like the one where you do your work day to day or has access to your files. Like just don't do that, right? And I think hopefully everyone knows at least that. So then the next thought is like, okay, let's give it its own dedicated machine. Like that's what I did. A lot of people went out and got a Mac Mini. Of course, even more people, this is also a valid approach, it seems, is to get like a VPS account. Like Hetzner is a popular provider. It's $5 a month. You can get a server in the cloud.
Yeah.
I think Cloudflare even like the next day started offering like a
DigitalOcean too. One-click installs on all these things.
So essentially it's a box in the cloud where you can run CloudBot. You could also do things like Docker, like put it in a Docker container. And so what I did was I looked into all those options and I was like, just the VPS thing. Like I know it's a lot cheaper than a $600 Mac Mini, but I don't know. I still just like the old school idea of being able to like see my Mac Mini and like being able to remote into it and manage it that way rather than like remote into a cloud server through the terminal. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of little clunky things about that I didn't like. And I don't know, for me, like $600 didn't seem like a big deal to and also like if I end up using it as extensively as I plan to, although I'm not yet, but theoretically, I do have a business strategy case for this that I'm thinking through. If that comes to reality, then I'm definitely going to use more services than the $5 a month. Like
that's right.
Like the memory and storage is definitely going to increase to $50 a month, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you might as well just get a Mac Mini. It would have been cheaper with a Mac Mini. You know?
Yeah, you want to give it some power. So just for folks who haven't heard any of these stories that are running around, again, some of these are fantasy, some of these are myths, but here's the one I heard Ben Ornstein tell, which is he said his friend, this is how I understand it, his friend set up OpenClaw on a Mac Mini, gave it access to many things, basically unrestricted, talks to it via Telegram or WhatsApp, and says, I want you to book me a haircut. So it goes out and tries to book him a haircut on the web. it runs into a CAPTCHA, which automatically it can't continue. But this person had given it instructions to keep going until it solved the problem. So again, this could be apocryphal, but according to the story, OpenClaw then decided to sign up for or use an 11 Labs account, synthesize a voice, use the Twilio account that was already there or some sort of way of called the barbershop, booked an appointment using this synthesized voice, and then reported back to the person. So a lot of the stories are of OpenClaw.
I hung out with Ben at Big Snow last week.
Okay.
And he was one of him and like another guy, Charles, were like the OpenClaw like hype guys. Like they were into it. Like
okay.
And so it was like hanging out with them and coming home. And I was like, okay, I gotta actually look at this because at first I was like very skeptical. At first I was not so skeptical of the security stuff. At first I was just like, I don't really get what the use case is for this. Like why is this more interesting than just running everything that I can do with like Claude Code?
Yeah.
But it took me about a week to realize like, oh, this for me personally, this could solve some real challenges that I have in my business, I think.
Yes.
That are actually different from what I do with Claude Code.
So what have you done with it so far? So you've set up
so
these...
like I don't know, like I really nerd out on it. So like, but I'm not actually using it like for real work just yet because I've been so consumed in setting it up and learning about it and learning about the security configurations and how and planning out my workflows and setting up this multi-agent setup, which I could talk about. That I've just been in like builder, setup, research, learning mode.
Yeah.
I feel like I turned a corner last week and that was the tweet this morning. So I think I'm ready to start to really fire it up. But another big open question we should talk about is the costs of token usage and because one learning, which was, okay, when you initially set up OpenClaw, it's going to ask you, do you want to put in an API key for OpenAI or Anthropic or any of these other ones? Or do you want to connect your Claude Max account? That is available. Like it's very easy to just authenticate your Claude Max plan, your subscription plan.
Yeah.
But that is against Claude's terms.
This is what I've heard. And
so, and like, you know, the costs of just running tokens, especially if you're using Claude Opus, are just extremely expensive, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, I was going really deep over the last week, just figuring out like, okay, if I'm going to operate this the way that I want my team of agents to operate, I really need to figure out a strategy around like, how am I going to optimize the token usage? Because literally just in the first like 2 days of tinkering with this and playing around with Telegram chats, just a few chats, like figuring out configurations, like I rung a bill of like $100 in like a few hours of chatting, you know? So like that, like clearly that's just not going to be sustainable. I've landed on a couple strategies. I've looked at it from so many different angles. Like at first, my initial thought was like, maybe I'll just cancel my Max plan and just go all API tokens everywhere. But that's clearly just going to be way too expensive.
Yeah.
Ongoing. So I think I am going to stick with my Max plan, and I'm trying to not break the rules. Like I'm not going to use my Max plan. With OpenClaw. There definitely are stories of Anthropic shutting down, like banning accounts. I think as of actually January, they rolled out some sort of detection of like if you are running a bot to operate a Claude Code instance, like they can detect it and they can shut your account down. So I definitely don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But you know, I do heavily use Opus 4.5 for a lot of my hardcore work, like coding and writing, and that's really important to me. So a lot of that I'm still going to do myself. Like I have no plans to stop creating on my machine with Claude Code with Opus. Like that's going to continue. When it comes to chatting with my agents through OpenClaw, I have them now all defaulting to a cheap model, like defaulting to like Haiku. I might do one of the other ones.
Okay.
But then you can have them like delegate to sub agents. So you can have their sub-agent use Opus. So it's like, I will spend, so I expect I'll be spending for both, like API tokens and Claude Max plan. And like the important activities that I want the agents, that I want to delegate to agents, they can use Opus on like a selective basis. But day-to-day like chatting or low-level like admin stuff doesn't need to use Opus. So that can use cheaper models. But then I'm also trying to figure out like, how can I like, because the big benefit, the big reason why this is different from a Claude Code or Cursor or is the memory aspect. So this is where I think it could be a really big unlock for me in my business, is that like theoretically the idea is that I want all of my agents to have access to the same brain, the same memory. And that means like every project we ever work on, every blog post, every YouTube I create, every code project, every commit that I make, every podcast that I record, every transcript of those podcasts, I want all of that flowing into this file system that all of my agents can read at any time.
Yeah.
No matter what, right? And up until now, the past year, I sort of have that, but there's still a lot of friction, especially between Claude on the web, which I use a ton for writing, for thought partner, strategic planning, creative thinking. I constantly go to Claude to help me think through stuff. So I have pages and pages of strategic conversations and artifacts in Claude. And then I have Claude Code, which is files on my system and pushed up to GitHub, right? But those are not necessarily connected. So I'm constantly like passing back and forth. Like, here's an artifact that I talked about over here. Now let's code it over here. Or here's the progress we made on the code over there. Let me bring those files into Claude and talk about it over here. Like, there's a lot of manual like lifting back and forth. And my thought is, hopefully I can figure out some system where like all of that stuff gets logged and stored into like markdown files that live in this memory system that all of my agents can access at any given time. And then I can start to have these different agents. If I need agents to work on new features or bug fixes in the background, I can delegate that. If I want them to help me draft social media posts and maybe even post them or schedule them, they have access to all this content that they can draw from.
So this is really like the idea is that this could be the true manifestation of this second brain stuff. Like, my second brain really is here. What I'm confused about is the context window in OpenClaw actually bigger? And why is it bigger on an OpenClaw machine? As opposed to, like, if you're using a model, doesn't it?
No, the model context windows are the same.
Okay. So what makes the memory better?
It's a little bit different because like just how the tool works, right? So in let's say Claude Code, when you're in a session in Claude Code, and then you fill up your context window and you hit clear to clear it out, or if you close your computer and come back the next day and you don't resume the same session, then it doesn't remember anything from yesterday. It has to relearn everything you give it. With this, like, you still have context window limits, but everything is getting logged into files that live on your file system.
Got it.
So the system prompts and this OpenClaw system that gets installed when you install, like, it's all designed around like it has access to all these files on your file system. It literally like there's like a folder called memory. And there's a folder called sessions for each agent, and those are JSON and Markdown files that just log everything. And so agents can, like, when you start up a new session, I think in the system prompt it has like what you talked about today and yesterday just right off the bat. Like it's always there, and then it could pull from further back. Could you replicate some of this in Claude Code? Like, I've tried doing this a little bit where I just have, at the end of a workday, my typical process is to say commit and push what we've done, and I want you to write project notes for today. Unfortunately, right now it's storing those in Claude.md, but I've wanted to take those out and just say every day I just want a journal of what we've done. So could you replicate some of this by just saying? Yeah, like that's what I'm sort of trying to set up right now. I'm trying to figure out the best logistics for that for me. And I've looked at it from so many different angles, because the challenge is that like most of those project conversations, I want to be using Opus, right? Which means I want to be using my Max plan.
Yeah.
Which means I have to be doing it in Claude or Claude Code. Up until now, I have only used Claude Code for coding, and I've only used Claude for writing and thinking. And I haven't really figured out a good, easy way to like automate taking my conversations and artifacts out of Claude and logging them or storing them in a file system, other than like manually clicking it or remembering to do that every single time.
Yeah.
And so I'm kicking around like the idea of like maybe I ditch using Claude and move all of my writing and creative and marketing stuff into Claude Code, which is a possibility, but that interface is not. It's great for coding, but it's not great for like non-coding stuff. So I don't know. I'm still that's an open question, you know.
Yeah, because I think the other thing in my head is I wonder if we can bypass this whole need for OpenClaw with just a new process inside of Claude Code, which is in Claude Code right now. I can give it permissions to access other directories theoretically and project files. So I could say, for example, right now I'm in the app directory, but I could say, hey, I want you to go over to the marketing directory. I want us to link these projects. And I've got notes in a folder called memory on both project directories. I've got a folder called memory and all of my journal entries are there.
Yeah.
And then maybe you could move to the Claude CLI on your iPhone and then just interact with it just that way as well.
Yeah, and I also have been thinking about that. Is like, do I really even need OpenClaw? And I've seen other people do this too, which is like okay, OpenClaw launched, and it is a really interesting and fascinating idea for putting agents on like their own standalone machine, their own box.
Yeah.
But do you even need OpenClaw? Can you just run Claude Code or build your own, whip up your own much simpler version of OpenClaw? I've seen some people doing that. Like Christian Janko was tweeting about that. I started to explore that for like half a day last week. I was like, maybe I can just do something custom spun up. And then I was like, oh, well, there's all these like nice features that I don't want to rebuild. Yeah. Especially the memory system is pretty well thought out. I don't know, like that might be an evolution that like I do and that maybe many people will do over the next year, is like OpenClaw was the first of many different similar concepts. You know?
Well, in the chat right now, they're asking, what about cowork? So how does cowork?
Yeah, that's another interesting one. Cowork is sort of similar. You can start to get to like cowork is like, it does work on your Mac file system. I haven't really played with cowork too much myself, but my understanding is, I don't know. Yeah, like that could be a good option. But it doesn't like, I don't know that it has all the memory stuff the way that OpenClaw is set up. Like, I think it's still like task-based and sort of self-contained.
Although you might be able to customize it with a plugin and get it to, because some of this, it just feels like it's a process-related thing, which is, again, when I'm working with Claude Code, basically, I work all day and I'm committing changes throughout the day. But before I leave for the day, I want to commit and push, and then I want to update Claude MD if there's anything important, and then I also want to just have a separate journal entry for project notes. What did we do today? Yeah. That's my ideal, but that could be for me a text expander snippet that I just use every day at the end of the day in the terminal. So I'm wondering if there's like if for the Luddite normies out there like me, if that's a better system.
You know, like, but like what you're talking about is like, I spent a day or two over the past week just thinking through that. Like, what is my day-to-day, how am I going to change my day-to-day workflow so that I have more of my conversations and artifacts centralized in a file system, because right now they're still too separated. And like, I've also been a long time Obsidian notes user. I have like years of notes in there, which is a nice markdown editor, and it does save them as files on your file system. So that's nice.
Yep.
Except it's lacking Claude.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can't have Claude help me write my notes. It's not a conversational thing. It's just a note taker. So I'm still trying to figure out like, how can I was playing around with the idea of having a Claude skill built into my Claude account, so that when I'm having a conversation, like trigger saving this conversation somewhere. And but then even that ran into some limitation of like, it can't like it could maybe save an artifact somewhere, but it can't take the whole conversation. I don't know. So there's a lot of like little logistical things, but like ultimately at the end of the day, the vision is, and so I spent a lot of time figuring out the multi-agent things. Like by default, OpenClaw is a single agent, right? Like you're going to have one Telegram chat with one agent. Yeah. And I wanted to have multiple.
Okay.
So in that screenshot, I have something like 6 work agents and like 2 personal agents, right? And the idea is that each of those has a different Telegram chat with me. Each of them has a different, I even built I had Claude come up with like personas for each of them. Like the grumpy old developer, the junior young guy, I used Gemini to create some like silly like robot, like inspired by like the Gorillaz band,
Yes.
Anyway, so I have those, and like the idea is that I can have like different chats, like I have one called Val, that's the content marketer. I want to be able to have like different Telegram chats, and I also connected them to my Slack workspace so that I can like have marketing related chats and tasks with this Val agent, and development related tasks with Bernard, and strategy with Clover.
I mean, I want this for sure. This kind of context aware persona that I can chat with and that I can do work with. Yeah. I also think the other thing that seems to be resonating about OpenClaw is just the fact that you can chat with it via Telegram. That interface layer actually solves a bunch of problems. Like, for example, everything that you dictate into Telegram now gets saved, and all of their responses get saved. So now you already have a place to store conversations and refer back to them. And I even like the problem right now I have with all this stuff is it's Siri. It's like when I'm using my iPhone and I got my AirPods in, the only person I can talk to out of the box is Siri, and I can't do anything with Siri except for compose a note. I compose a note with Siri, and I get it to set timers and alarms. That's basically it.
Yeah, totally.
And so I think the interface layer is what people are starting to, I think they wanted a better interface that was better than Siri, better than what they were getting on their iPhone. Well, Telegram's easy. I can interact with Telegram all day. I can interact with it voice. I can interact. I think part of the attraction of this OpenClaw thing is just the fact that out of the box, you can connect it to WhatsApp and Telegram and Slack.
For sure. You're right. It's the interface thing. Of course, like ChatGPT and Claude, like the part of the breakthrough with those a couple of years ago was the chat interface to AI, right? Like, because like GPT-2 and 1 didn't have that chat GPT layer yet. So like that's why it didn't break through until like GPT-3. But I think like ChatGPT and the Claude's like unlocked, like chat is the way to interact with AI. And then the models got a lot better. But I think now with OpenClaw, the next, yes, it's the chat with Telegram or Slack or WhatsApp or whatever you want. But then it's also the other connections to everything else you do, because it has access to whatever you can do on a file on a computer system. Like that's the big challenge for me in my business is like there's so much like, okay, I finish a finish a newsletter that Claude helped me write, but then I copy and paste that into Kit, and then I format it and schedule it, and like, or just a lot of little clicking and carrying this piece of content over to there, and like, and scheduling it, and like,
I think, okay, this is, I know we're talking long about this, but this is actually something I think was also attractive about all the mythology and legends and stories that came out of OpenClaw is, what's the challenge with anything? The challenge with hiring a personal assistant who's a human, the challenge with hiring an employee, the challenge with anything, the challenge with doing work yourself is that there's always, you're going to run into things, right? So it's like you said, a typical thing would be, what's a very common one that AI just can't touch right now? Like every
video editing.
Well, video editing, but here's a simple one that seems simple. Every quarter, my accountant says, Justin, can you log into your bank accounts and export all the PDFs and then send them to me so I can reconcile your accounts? That is difficult to hire somebody for, because as soon as I hire a personal assistant for it, first of all, it's sensitive, but if you get over that hurdle, then you have two-factor auth that often depends on me being close to my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just goes problem after problem after problem. And I think one thing that appealed to people about this OpenClaw thing is like, oh, this thing will keep going. If you instruct it to, it will keep going in a Ralph Wiggum loop until it's done. Like it will just plow through barriers. And I can see why that was attractive to people. And then, eliminating all these points of friction. So much of what we do in a day is all this connective tissue between like I compose something in Claude, I might even take it somewhere else and clean it up and write it, and then from there I got to copy and paste it into Kit.
And also it's like for me it also happens when I'm out. Like I do a morning walk for 30 minutes and I'm doing a voice recording of my next YouTube video, like just the idea, just brain dumping the idea, right? But, I do want to speak to something else too. And this is where it didn't click with me the day that OpenClaw started to get popular. And part of it is because of like the marketing copy on the OpenClaw website, and then what everyone started to talk about.
Yeah.
Everyone is looking at it like this is an agent that you're going to give full unfettered access to your own email account and your own calendar, and it's going to be like as you and do things as you and have access to all of you in your life. Like to me, like no, like that is not what I want. And that's why at first I was like, I'm not interested in that. I have no desire to have an agent reading and replying to my emails for me. I don't have the problem of wanting an agent to book restaurant reservations for me. I'd rather pick the restaurant myself. Like that isn't a problem that I have. I'm not interested. That was my initial reaction, right?
Yeah.
What made it click for me was like, think about this exactly like an employee or maybe a team of employees.
Yeah.
So the way that I'm doing it is I did set up this Mac Mini. It's its own user. It's like I didn't log into my Apple account on it or my iCloud or even my Dropbox account. It's not connected in any way from that standpoint. I actually gave it its own email address, so I can invite that email to. Like,
was that just a Gmail address or like?
I used a Proton.
Okay.
Me, and so I used that to set up like a GitHub account for it, so I could see like commits from it. I can grant and revoke access through that.
Did you give it its own credit card for spending?
No, that's. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe at some point, but I haven't done that. Like I haven't had the need to do that, right? It's just like what. So if you think about it, like it's definitely not the same. But when you hire an employee, you are inviting them to do things and have access to things. Yeah. And if they're an employee like in your company, you're probably going to buy them a computer to work on. Yeah. It's kind of simple. If you start to think about it like that, you start to, like, so for me, I think about it like my company is me and a part-time video editor works for me. Other than that, like I don't have, Clarity Flow is separate. I have a full-time developer who manages that. Yeah. But in Builder Methods, it's me and a video editor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any developers other than me and coding agents. I don't have a virtual assistant. I probably would, if this were a couple of years ago, I would have hired a virtual assistant by now in my business for all those little tasks. But I'm convinced that a lot of that stuff can and should be processed by agents. And I haven't figured out all of the processes, but it's absolutely possible to do that.
Yeah.
And then same thing with like content and marketing. Obviously, like I'm the content person, but like I heavily use AI in my creative process, you know, like, like the idea of like outsourcing to writers is not a thing anymore, you know? And even like I'm going to do like ads funnels at some point. Like I'm not going to hire like a pay-per-click expert for that. I'm going to like have like AI prepare a strategy and a game plan, and maybe I'll like do the initial setup of it, but it'll be a process that can be automated, you know?
Yeah. This is just such an interesting, I mean, it feels like when it comes to hiring, there's a few different jobs to be done. So the boss sometimes is hiring because it's like, I need someone to take this work off my plate. And this is work that is coming to me and being directed at me, or could just come to an email and is being directed at an email, but somebody needs to go there and go, okay, the accountant needs this. So right now that comes to me, and then I could theoretically delegate that to somebody else, say, hey, this needs to be done. They're basically just taking it off my plate. And eventually they could be the point person for that. Listen, I could tell the accountant, you just email this person, they will take it from there. So that's one form of work. And that's still, I think, you know, a big part of hiring, but I could see how AI, you might hire it to do some of that work, right? It's just like, hey, I just need this taken off my plate. The one thing that you're going to miss still is hiring someone who can be autonomously creative and proactive, because it feels like these AI agents are still very reactive. They're always just taking direction, right? They're not able to come up with their own ideas for things that you might do, or opportunities, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, you don't need to respond to that. I'm just thinking that off the top of my head.
That's another big challenge that like I run a creative business. It's a creator business, right? Like it's mostly built on like me creating ideas for the YouTube channel and courses and stuff. I'm also thinking a lot about like, how can I streamline what I do before I record a YouTube video, like the ideation process. I can't, and I don't want to rely on AI to come up with ideas. Like there are people out there who will just scrape YouTube and just do like copycat videos. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
But I do want to be able to take my raw ideas and not spend a whole day sitting here like staring at the screen, but have more of a process where I could have a chat with my creative agent with Opus.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is what I do with Opus now, is like I start with a raw idea, an observation, an insight, or something I want to talk about, and I'll brain dump a voice memo in it, and then I have a long back and forth of creative, like fleshing it out and then writing it and crafting it, you know?
Yeah.
But like that's still like too messy for me. I still want to be able to like I'm not publishing fast enough because I spend too much time in that creative loop, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is, there's still just a part of me that I think what's attractive about OpenClaw is the same thing that attracts me to the idea of getting an executive assistant. Is there is just a bunch of stuff in my life that it would be great to have that. First of all, it'd be great to have someone else be able to delegate the work. That's one piece. But even better, a step above that, is somebody who is taking responsibility for that thing and is just doing it in an ongoing way. And here's another example I can think of. It's like if I put AI in charge of spider control at my house, how would it do that? I don't know. Maybe it would detect like number of screams per day or something like that. Like my wife screams. Oh, that's probably a spider. So like
number of screams per day.
But the truth is, we hired a spider control guy, right? And I had to it was like, my wife is like, there's way too many spiders. We saw a bunch of black widows. Justin, do something about it. So then I take that. I call up a spider control guy. I say, I want you to take control of this problem. Yeah. So I had to do that initial step. He comes in, he scans the whole house. He does it. He sets up traps. And then he says, and personally, this is like my love language. He says, and now I will come back and check every year and just see how we're doing. Perfect. Now I'm not responsible for spider control anymore. This guy's just going to show up on a regular basis. He's going to check all the traps. He's going to do everything he needs to do. And then he's going to bill me. That's kind of ideal. These are the real problems people are trying to solve. And AI might be part of the solution, but then I'm also thinking how the human element with all this stuff, how does it all interact?
Yeah. I mean, the way that I think about it also is I'm not really looking to delegate the ideation and creation of new projects to AI, and frankly, even to people. Like I am a solo founder of this business. I'm the creator of it, and anything that I create, a new product, a new video, a new course, a new anything, that's what I want to be spending my time on. Like I chose to do this business because yesterday I spent the whole day designing this app to run my agents. That screenshot is a whole app that took me one full day to design it and build it. It tracks their tasks, it tracks the token costs, it tracks activity, it does a lot of things in there, and it hooks into the file system. It's pretty cool. But there are people out there who are tweeting about how they just task their OpenClaw agent to go build a similar dashboard like that. Just go do it, figure it out, do it. To me, I can't. I want to be in the nitty gritty. Every UI choice in here was me directing it or crafting it in the way that I want it, right? Especially if it's a tool that I'm going to be using.
Yeah.
So the way that I think about agents is more I want them to be the next phase. They are the maintainers, right? Like when I have a new feature for this or for builder methods or for whatever, I should be able to voice note it into a chat, and it turns into a spec. And if it's small to medium size, that's something that an agent can and should be just creating a PR for. If it's a totally new redesign or a totally new concept, then I want to be involved in that. Then I'm going to do that myself in Claude Code or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it's fixing a bug or doing this or if it's a marketing process, right? If I have there should be some idea, some creative stuff where it's it has access to all of my activity, all of my projects through the file system, and every week it knows that I need to be generating new ideas. So maybe it surfaces a list of here are some interesting concepts that I just pulled out of your recent GitHub commit or your recent podcast transcript. These could be
or
tweets, maybe they're
your bookmarks
or these could be maybe something that I said at 42 minutes into the recent panel episode could become the basis of my next YouTube video. I don't know. But there's so to me, one of the big drivers was there's so much activity that happens between me and this computer and these podcasts and the code and I'm not tweeting all the time. I'm not I'm not broadcasting everything that I'm doing. I'm broadcasting maybe 5% of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so if I could figure out some systems to extract more publishable content, because I feel there's a lot of good material.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've done that and it's I start to do that. And then I'm this is so raw. Now I want to spend an hour crafting it and refining it. And now I'm not actually getting any real work done. So if there's just some sort of process that's happening in the background, like watching and extracting ideas and turning it into at least pretty good drafts that I can approve, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious to see how this experiment, I'm kind of waiting for everyone else to figure out this stuff. And then, but the parts that appeal to me are, you know, the Christian Genko, like, talk to my phone. And because right now, you know, I can't interact with Claude Code on my phone at all, but theoretically it could be doing all sorts of work for me while I'm just out doing other things. So yeah, I'm curious about all of that. Let's switch it up. I want to talk a little bit about building fake products. So you asked me, hey, why aren't we using that podcast countdown timer? And I feel like this was always true, but now the cycle times are so much shorter. The value of build first has just increased dramatically. Build first allows you to create something in a couple of minutes and start using it and start basically interacting with reality right away. So the podcast countdown timer is a perfect example. In that app, we set up segments, we give it a timer, it counts down. As soon as I introduced that with you and I noticed it added a little bit of anxiety. It's like, oh man, I got time now counting down. So you start to feel a real interaction with the product right away. One of the things I've been talking about on this show forever is, can we at Transistor figure out a way to do video podcast hosting? And it's just such a big, hairy problem. It feels like too much. And then a couple of weeks ago, I said, I'm just going to start building it and see
Hold my beer.
How it feels. And not because I want to build something that's production ready that we're going to just drop into the app, but because for this very reason, I want to start to experience both from the technical implementation side, but even more as a user. What do I run into? What do I want? How does this feel? And in the past, you just could not do this. Just to get to the point I'm at right now, I built a full video podcasting app in a couple days, the first version. And just to get to this point with pretty talented engineers would have taken 6 months, a year, maybe even 2 years.
Ampcast.
It would have taken a long time. But I've got a little app running. Sorry, go ahead.
What does this do? For those who aren't watching, they're listening. You just started to show this thing that it looks like it's called Ampcast. I don't know if that's a temporary name.
Yeah, that's just a temporary name. This is never. I don't think this will ever be a real product. This is just a prototype I've built.
So we've got a list of shows. You click into one.
You can connect it to Transistor and import an existing show. So let's say I import Restaurant Success here. And then I can connect it to YouTube. And that works. I've got all the auth and connection to YouTube and everything working. And I'm curious, like, what makes it a video podcast?
Well, this is what was so helpful is previously I thought the way to do this is we have to do everything. We have to allow people to upload the video to us. We have to encode it for use HLS encoding, host it, etc. As I got into this, I started to realize that what people actually want is not that. What they want is, let me see if I can find this thing here.
Like turning their YouTube videos into...
Basically, they want to upload a video, have it syndicated to YouTube and maybe Spotify video, and then create an audio-only version that syndicates to all the audio platforms. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I started working on this that this became very clear, right? So
we've been talking, I think, HLS maybe should exist for the nerds. But when I think about 80-90% of people I talk to who are doing podcasting, what do they want? They want to upload one video file. They want it to go to that to get uploaded to Spotify and YouTube as a video episode. And then they want it transcoded and as an audio file and added to Transistor. That's what 80% of people want.
Totally.
And so I didn't experience that. I didn't fully realize that. That was in my brain, but I didn't fully realize that, honestly, until I'll see if I can find it. But actually, when I was working through Design OS, I had it create a breadboard for the different flows. And once I saw the breadboard, I was like, wait a second. And once I'm talking to Claude Code and it's like, yeah, like that HLS video component really adds a lot of complexity to this app.
That's like very similar to my process with any new app. It's like, all right, like here's my concept. I think I want to do it this way, and then you run into things and have back and forth with Claude and
yes.
Yeah.
So,
and then once you see the views,
Well, and there's just so many things that you run into that until you're actually using it, usage has always been oxygen for product realizations, for actually understanding something. So here's another example. So
does it?
Oh,
I was
sorry,
wondering, like, does it push out to like would you upload the file to Transistor and then that actually uploads to YouTube and Spotify and?
In my little prototype, what this does is you just go here. I'll do one right now. So let's just make sure this is connected to YouTube. So I have to keep re-authing it because I'm still in test mode. But for the listener, all I've done is I've opened up a fake show called Super Awesome. I'm going to click new episode. I'm going to choose a video file. And it's starting to upload. That uploads to R2. I'm going to just say sample ep for Brian. And the other thing I like about this, by the way, is it's allowed me to play with a simple interface again. I even hid a lot of the advanced settings in this expand collapse UI here. But I'm going to click publish episode. This is now uploading to YouTube. That's completed. Now it's extracting the audio. That is processed and completed. If we click here and view it on YouTube, still processing the video, but that will be
sweet.
Live right away. And you click on Transistor, episode is live. The YouTube embed has automatically embedded. Oh, you can't see that. YouTube embed has automatically embedded in the share page. The episode is playable. It all happens in one step.
Nice.
So
that's beautiful.
And here's the other benefit. I've been playing with this. I've been using it.
Especially if you could schedule it.
You can schedule it. I've already got that built in. I'm now showing this to people. So my one buddy, he uploads all the sermons for his church. And he's like, dude, I wish I could just do this in one step. It's taking me so much time to first upload it to YouTube. Then I basically copy and paste the same title, description, etc., over to a podcast host and then do it there. I just want it one stop shop. So I can record a video for him. Eventually he'll be able to use this. And now I'm going to have a real person using it and will experience how does this work. Today, for the first time, I had to, at Transistor right now, we don't have an uploader that can handle files bigger than a gig. So I had Claude Code build a file uploader that can handle big files. Today, for the Marketing for Developers podcast, this Lars Lofgren interview was 15 gigabytes or something like that. It's like, okay, well, let's see how this system handles a 15 gigabyte video. I'm also going to be tracking the costs now on, the different, like for hosting and for bandwidth and all that stuff. I can test all this stuff out before we implement it in our production product. And I think building fake products is going to people need to be doing this. This is the way to explore and truly feel and shape the entirety of the problem before you sit down and write a implementation plan for your existing app. This is like, let's figure out everything now. Even something as small as, like, you'll notice this one says private. This is a private podcast. And then as soon as I start using this, because I wanted to publish this episode today, I'm like, wait a second, a private podcast is going to have a different setup than a public podcast. And I'm like, what would I want personally as a user? Well, I might just want it to be an unlisted playlist and unlisted video on YouTube. Can I do that? Yeah. So now, if it's a private podcast, it automatically creates a unlisted playlist on YouTube, publishes an unlisted video. I love it, man. I wouldn't have thought of that beforehand. And all of this reminded me of this great story from FreshBooks. This is a story that Mike McDermott told me ages ago. And I don't know if a lot of people have heard about this, but basically they decided they had this problem back in, who knows when this was, 2017. They had this problem where they had this mature product, but they wanted to do a full rewrite. And so they decided, they went through a bunch of ideas, but then Mike said, what if we just created a new company and competed with ourselves? A new company could have its own name, brand, logos, website, articles of incorporation, user agreement, service staff. We could use that to figure out if we could build a product that is truly better than the one we're offering. They built so FreshBooks V2 or V3 or whatever it was, they created an entirely different company. And then they built the product ground up from there, got real users using it, had its own pipeline and everything. And then only when it had proven itself with whatever it was, 100 users, 100 paying customers, did they switch it over and have it as the main FreshBooks app. And then
I didn't know that they did that. That's really
I think
really cool. Like this, what you're describing, this whole process of, like, you bring a new feature, at least in a concept or a prototype form. Like it dovetails exactly with what we were talking about with Jordan on the recent episode over here a couple weeks ago. It's like, I'm curious to know for you with your team at Transistor, like, how does this going to change the process of bringing new features into Transistor? Like I just, this morning I recorded my next YouTube video, and it's about the Claude integration with Slack. And at first I was like, that's okay. It's just a little connector with Slack. That's kind of a nice to have. What's the big deal? And then I saw one of the Claude team members post an article on X about it and how they're using it inside Claude. And I realized, like, oh, there are some real workflow breakthroughs here. And what you were just describing about, like, okay, Transistor is its own thing. It's well-established code base. It's got this whole user base on it. Like, you can't just, like, change course or ship features, like, in a day, like you can with a vibe coded thing.
Yeah.
But what they're doing at Anthropic apparently is, in Slack, you can, like, with the Slack connector to Claude Code, anyone on the team, marketers, product people, go-to-market, sales, anyone can @message Claude and kick off a Claude Code project, and then Claude Code goes and works on it and creates a PR to the actual code base. So that's an interesting product process workflow for teams, right? So it's like, instead of vibe coding a prototype, which is very different and new and shiny and separate from what your actual code base is, like, anyone can pull off a branch and vibe and essentially vibe code, and not even vibe code, but, like, at least just start.
Yeah.
Like what if we add a video uploading feature to our existing code base? What would that look like? And could we achieve this? Is that even technically possible? Anyone, like, obviously it'll depend on your own team's, like, strategy and workflow, but you or anyone on your team could essentially @message Claude and at least start a PR. This isn't going to ship tomorrow, but at least it's something that it's like, oh, this is technically possible, and like it could, or we will run into these technical challenges of it. Like, now we understand that, and then the engineering team can take a look at it, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be like a code review challenge. That could just be the V1 of this, or like a draft version of this feature, so that the engineer can see like, oh, okay, I see what the product team is going for here.
Yeah.
Let me rebuild this properly so that it's ready for prime time. But like, that's a much higher fidelity vision than like a wireframe or even a vibe coded prototype that's separate. Like if it's a PR off of your real code base, I
think we're going to do both. I mean, we're still stepping into this carefully.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do both. For this particular project, it made sense to do it separate because we needed a separate R2 bucket. I don't want to use what Transistor already has. There's a bunch of things that I just wanted to keep separate because this involves a lot more moving pieces.
So you're going to rebrand to Ampcast.
I mean, there is a world in which we go, you know what? We don't want to add this to Transistor. We're going to rebuild it as a separate thing. Maybe a video first podcasting app. That could be true. I think also the being able to have something that I can hand over to my friend who's working at this church, and have a limited subset of people actually using this workflow and just running into everything that could happen with usage, taking all those notes and then using that to implement that in the main app. I think that's the other piece. And then the other thing is just being able to see, I've also connected it to the YouTube Analytics API and the Transistor Analytics API. And so now I have a view of YouTube views versus audio downloads.
Sweet.
And so being able to do that in its own space and show it to people, show it to different users, friends of mine that I know are actual real podcasters, and eventually getting them to use it, I think there's just a real benefit to that. And then using everything we learn to inform what we're doing with Transistor. The other reason to do it outside of your regular app is this also led me to it's still a Rails app on the back end, but I said on the front end, I don't care what you use. You can use whatever you think is best, Claude Code.
Yeah.
And we had when we built the Transistor app, we had some strong opinions about how much JavaScript we were going to use, what kind of JavaScript libraries we're going to use.
Totally.
I wanted to go and run with scissors,
strip it all away,
a little bit.
Fresh start. I mean, like I really see a night and day experience between literally apps that I started the code base 6 months ago or earlier, and apps that began within the past 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Like the ones that I started more recently are just so much easier to get into and iterate on because AI helped build it from day one. And going into legacy code bases, even builder methods, which started earlier in the year last year, there's a lot of my old opinions baked in there, which does make it harder for agents to be able to pick up from that point, right? Because it has my hand-coded opinions from day one that it has to work around, that it has to try to align itself to. And like my Agent OS sort of helps with that, but like it's still a challenge. But something like the app I built yesterday for the agent tracker, like the HQ thing, is like I just designed it and I used Design OS for the design, but it created React components that I brought into a Rails and Inertia. And
well, here's the other thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is the other thing is, again, I thought, okay, I built this Ampcast thing, and that was just me working with Claude Code. Here's the vision, here's the plan. We went through plan mode, we did all that stuff. But now, in a separate Claude Code session, I'm using Design OS to redesign and architect the same app again, but using a totally different approach. And now, so Design OS is helping me to really think through onboarding, helping me to really think through all these edge cases. And if you don't handle this at the beginning, even something like, at what point do you connect to YouTube? At first, I had it on the account level right when you get in, and then as I'm using the first version of my app, I'm like,
actually you want to be able to connect to different accounts and channels per show. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I go into Design OS and I'm like writing the spec and we'll see. Maybe the first version I make is actually the better version. But when the cost of building a prototype is essentially just your time, why not do it multiple times? And then maybe the second version I build, I just get more realizations. It's like, oh my God, like now, and I'm building all these assets. One thing I really like about Design OS, if you're not using it, I highly recommend it, is I didn't realize that you create all these like interactive prototypes. So after a section's shaped, Design OS creates those, like you can click through on those screens, but they're basically interactive prototypes. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, you can view the designs that it creates.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Design OS did that.
Oh,
I'm going to bring all of those assets when we actually, if and when we decide, because that's the other nice thing about this is I can build all of this, get it out of my system.
Actually, like since we're talking about it, I can pull up the Design OS that I did for that thing yesterday.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Let me see if I can.
And maybe I'll pull up the one.
And I actually tried to
here.
record this as a video for members, but then the recording crapped out and I couldn't use it.
Here, I'll show you. Let me show you.
It is, I think.
Let me see. Oh, mine's not loading now. I gotta restart this. Hold on. I'm definitely going to use all of those screens.
How do I share this?
Should be share button right at the bottom.
I've got like two screens here. Screen.
By the way, Riverside, can we get some keyboard shortcuts? Can we get some? Is there a keyboard shortcut for just sharing your screen?
Here it is. Okay. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So this is the Design OS. This is for what a little product that I call BM HQ. It's like Builder Methods HQ. It's only for me to use with my agents. And I started with like the overview of it, and then I ended up building out these sections. So it's going to have dashboard. It's going to have the agents, the activity, a usage tracker, the cron jobs that it's running, the tasks with Kanban board and skills, right? So then I went through and got into the design stuff. I didn't spend a ton of time on that, but then into the sections. So like here's the dashboard, and then you can view the actual dashboard.
Yes.
And it's got like a responsive thing there, and then it also has like dark mode that you can turn on.
Like this was a game changer, just to be able to see things beforehand.
Yeah, so like this is like the dashboard view, but then I sort of need to go back into so like if I go to agents, and then agents has like a list view and an agent detail view. So then if I go to the list view, I ended up actually redesigning this a bit in my real one. So like the real one looks like this, and I mapped a domain to it. Agents, I ended up making them like sort of like Polaroid things. But in Design OS, it sort of started out like this. And then, so yeah, like I sort of like went through the process. One thing like going through it yesterday, it's been a few weeks since I actually used Design OS on anything. Here's the tasks one. So like if I go to the board view, I've got this like Kanban board where I can, work with tasks.
It's crazy that Design OS just creates this just from the interview.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to get to this, first of all, like I did the shell, right? But to get to this, the key insight, I think, in any design process with AI now is, the interview gets me to this like little mini spec right here, which is like user flows and UI requirements. But then I think the key thing is this sample data. The data models are less important. What's a little bit more important is generating this sample data first before you design it.
Yeah.
So have AI like get a really raw, rough concept of like, okay, we're going to do this Kanban board. It's going to need to have tasks. and assign them to agents. And if we were to generate some JSON data off of that, here's what that data would look like. Here's the shape of it. And then once it has that, it's able to like create a view that takes all of that into account and puts it into an interface. Because if you skip that step, then it's going to sort of like dream up all these details, you know, and then it's not going to be quite right. You know? So yeah, but that, like, going through it yesterday, I did find like now I'm thinking like at some point I want to do an update to Design OS, because it still took too long. It
does take a long time. That I did have a feeling of like, this took a while.
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of these steps where I'm just like, even going through the spec and the sample data, like it's important, but it's not even important that I review it. I just want it to be done and get right into the design part. And then the other part that's a little bit too heavy right now is the export. So like, when I get to the final export where I export out these React components and the views, it's a little bit too prescriptive in terms of like, yes, it gives you all the design React components ready to drop into your real app.
Yeah.
But it's also including in that, like all this like prescriptive, like here's how you should model the database and here's how the backend logic should work. And I don't want it to do any of that. I want Claude Code in the final app to be able to take these React components and just the high level feature requirements, and then that agent to decide and help you figure out the actual data model.
Yeah.
So I think like there is going to be another version of Design OS at some point that strips out, just like I did with Agent OS version 3, I stripped out a lot of the bloat.
Yeah.
I think going through it helped me realize like there's a lot of extra bloat that can be removed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan. I think even even having the process is really helpful.
Yeah. I got a quick thing, but I do want to hear about Lars Lofgren.
Okay, yeah. Let's do your quick thing. Yeah.
Well, this is just like a mindset and like a challenge thing that I've been feeling a lot lately. And part of it was what led to wanting to do this agents thing with OpenClaw. But like, I'm a solo founder, solo creator. The business is going really well, you know, so I used to feel like last year it was more of the urgency around like, I got to keep hustling and pushing to make this business happen so that I can get revenue going. And then I feel a little bit more secure. Like I've moved on from that. I feel pretty secure with this business now, and it's pretty smooth sailing and definitely growing. But now I still find myself working all the time, and I still have this urgency. And right now, the challenge I think is this balance. Like if I split my whole work life into two halves, one half is the public facing, you can call it marketing, like all of my work on YouTube and email, like the weekly email newsletter and this podcast, and my new Builder Methods podcast, and like all of that is like public facing stuff. And especially with the wave of competition that is rolling into my space here in January, February. Like I constantly feel a pressure to keep that like pedal to the metal, keep pushing on growth and exposure and audience and lead flow and funnel. And I've got a funnel that's working really well. But every time, like right now, like since I had the Big Snow trip, I couldn't record and publish that week. And then the week after, I still didn't have enough time to record a new one. So there's going to be like a 2-week gap in like a new video on my YouTube channel. That's like way too long for me in my space right now. At the same time, the other half of what I do is delivering a Claude Code course, delivering private content for my members, interacting with my members every day, you know, and then actually building stuff, using my own tools, Design OS, improving Agent OS. Like that is so incredibly time consuming. And then not to mention, I need days per week just to tinker and research and learn. Like I'm going to do a big YouTube video on OpenClaw at some point based on all this learning. but I need the time to do that learning, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really challenging right now.
I think you should do a video just on this topic, because that pressure you just described, I mean, your pressure is unique in a sense because of the business you're in, but I think everybody's just feeling this pressure. Like, this is the land grab moment. This is the train's taking off, and if I'm not on the train, I'm going to miss out. Everybody's just thinking, I got to build all the time. It's like we're all addicted to drugs right now, and that it's exhilarating, it's fun, and a lot of people on Twitter are talking about the fun part of it, but we're starting to also get some of the reflection, like Caleb Porzio just had on his podcast, Notes on Work just had. He's like, is this better? Am I still having fun?
I heard that. And I actually have some separate thoughts about that.
Yeah.
But like it's like one of the things that has this tension that I felt for a while now is that, like, there's a lot of guys out there who are tweeting nonstop every day about like claiming to be the AI guy for this or that, right? But I think that my whole angle on the YouTube channel is that I'm a little bit more thoughtful. I take a lot more time to create, and I only create a video when I actually have something to say about something. I'm not just going to copy any popular topic that's out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's that Jerry Seinfeld thing, right? It's like, yeah, you I don't know if it's Seinfeld or some other person said this, but it's like, yeah, you gotta like create your best like creative ideas, but you have to have those creative ideas at 8 a.m. every single day.
Yeah.
You know, like you still have to have a schedule to make sure that this thing is actually still producing content, essentially, you know?
Yeah. So you're feeling the pressure of just, how do you stay on top of it? Things are changing so fast.
It's really even more like what I actually want to do is deliver twice, 5 times, 10x more value to the paying members. Like, if I could spend all my time, or even just most of my time, inside Builder Methods Pro, creating and giving them my full attention, and creating tools and creating private videos that show really interesting projects. Yeah. Because what's fun about those types of videos is that I don't have to polish them for YouTube, and they don't have to be so scripted. They can be just like, watch me build this really cool thing. Yeah. You know, or teach a lesson on Claude Code. Like that's actually more value. I want to be delivering even more value to my members. And like, there's a lot of stuff, but like this, it's still this, like, I feel an obligation to the funnel. Like, I can't just, I can't like lay off the funnel too, you know? So it's just really, really difficult.
I mean, I think
and then, like, not to mention the sponsorship stuff. Like, I could probably like triple my revenue next month if I just open the doors to sponsors. Yeah. You know?
And is there a way of doing that won't kill you, that won't overwhelm you, that won't,
I was talking to a sponsorship coach, Justin Moore, the other day about this, and like he was really helping me out with some strategy on how this could work, and what kind of value is, or like untapped value there is for my channel and what I'm doing, and I plan to do it. I should be doing it now, but it's just I don't have the bandwidth to insert the sales process and the operation for doing sponsors just yet.
Yeah. I mean, this is the challenge in any market, but a market that's a rocket ship that feels like it's taking off. That's my favorite Peldy quote, is he said he launched Balsamic, the wireframe app, and there was so much demand in the market. He said it was like holding onto a rocket ship by my fingernails. Like, that's how it felt. And it sounds like you're feeling the same thing. It's like, you know, the rocket ship's there. That's often the problem, is the rocket ship's not there, right? You're just like trying to make something happen, and it's like, this thing's not taking off. But then the reverse of that problem is like, this thing takes off and you're just holding on, hoping that you can keep holding on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious if Lars Lofgren has any wisdom that could help with that problem.
I mean, some of this is going to, some of this will probably make your life worse.
Probably.
Yeah. So let me
he's such a good I can't wait to hear that episode, but he is such a good speaker and communicator, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So let me see if I can play a little clip from that, because I think this is one of the big takeaways I had. Let's see if this works here. Okay, we'll make this live.
Google isn't just looking at links in order to figure out entities. They're looking at the entire web.
Yeah.
So they're looking at Reddit. They're looking at YouTube. They're looking at social. They're looking at everything else. If you go build a website and you're just relying on SEO and links, like, you don't have that footprint everywhere else, right? You don't have reviews. You're not on Trustpilot. You're not on G2. You don't have a Google business profile. You're not on Reddit. No one's talking about you because you have a brand new business. Like, you haven't built up your brand, but more importantly, you haven't built up that like entity across the web. And if Google's looking at your shit and says like, wait, who is this entity? They won't even look at the content.
Yeah.
They'll just say, hey, we don't know who they are. We don't know this thing. So we're not going to rank them.
So
be everywhere.
This was one of the key insights, and I'll synthesize it again. Today, the challenge with LLMs, and this is for personal brands like yours, this is for companies, is now LLMs and Google aren't just looking at, Brian Castle. Let's go over to briancastle.com and see what's there. No, they're not just looking at transistor.fm. No, they're not just looking at the backlinks to transistor.fm, which was in the past, all you needed was a bunch of authoritative links linking to your site. Today, they are looking at your overall reputation as an entity. Meaning, if all you have is a website, they're going to look at you suspiciously. But if you have a website, plus 100 reviews on Trustpilot, plus a bunch of real people discussing your brand, product, etc. on Reddit, plus a bunch of people doing the same on YouTube, plus a bunch of people doing the same on LinkedIn, plus it just keeps going and going and going. It's the footprint that matters. And this also has to do with personal brands. So one of my favorite things to do these days is to go into one of the LLMs. I actually like Grok for this because it's connected to Twitter. And I'll say, what is Brian Castle known for? What is Justin Jackson known for? What is Ian Landsman known for? And you'll see how sticky some of this stuff is. So if the primary thing that LLMs and Gemini have on Brian Castle is that he's the process guy, he's the productized service guy, that's what they're going to list out. So if all your reviews, if people talking about you on Reddit, if people talking about on you on Twitter, etc., that's what they're going to talk about. If your brand, if your product has done a pivot, like Transistor did from being like the podcast hosting for brands and professionals to just podcast hosting for prosumers and creators, that needs to be everywhere, and your brand needs to be everywhere. And Lars is just like, this is foundationally changing everything. It's the reason he's way more active on LinkedIn now as his personal brand, because he needs people interacting with him and more information that now when the LLMs scrape him or their sense of who he is as an entity, it won't say Lars is the CMO at Kissmetrics. He wants them to know something different. And the way you do that now is you have to manage a very wide footprint across multiple platforms.
I get the concept. The question I think everyone is probably thinking is like, how? How do we do that realistically? Even if you're a company with a lot of resources, that's still super hard, right?
I mean, some of this is going to depend on personality. So the thing that Lars and I discuss is he's like, basically system's perfect for Justin because I've always taken this kind of gardening approach to marketing where I'm just walking through the garden. It's like, oh, there's my Reddit part of the garden. I'm just going to go and help that to grow. And I'll go over here. Here's Trustpilot.
About you. Like, you're obviously very out there, especially on like podcasts and YouTube, but you do jump around to platforms a lot more than people might realize. Like
every new platform that came up
channel, and then you show up on Bluesky and then in Reddit, and it's like, dude,
I'm just walking around the garden, and I got lucky in this case that this approach just works awesome. And then stuff I used to garden in the past, like Quora, is now a ranking factor again. It was a ranking factor like 10 years ago. Now it's not as much of a ranking factor, but I invested so much of it in it. Well, not 10 years ago, but
when you say walking through the garden, is that like literally throughout the day, throughout the week, is there any process to this, or is it just random? Like, I'm going to log into my Reddit and see my notifications. Yeah, I'm going to log into my Twitter.
If you're really into structure, this is going to you could probably do it in a structured way. I look at Reddit every day. I look at LinkedIn every day. One of the reasons I'm trying to do more podcasts, and this is Lars's approach too. The reason, by the way, the reason that all of these AI CEOs are still doing podcasts is exactly this reason. They know that the more stuff like that they do like this, the more it feeds in to the models. They're doing this on purpose. And so it is, for me, it is just like I have a rhythm to my day and my weeks, which is just, I'm going to go around and just keep, and then even to the point where it's like every quarter, every half, every 6 months, I'm going to go back. I don't spend very much time on Indie Hackers. I'm going to go back to Indie Hackers, just update some of our stuff. I'm going to go back to Product Hunt, our initial Product Hunt launch. I'm just going to update a bunch of our stuff. In our next newsletter, I'm going to put a PS and say, hey, we're a small company. We really need some reviews on Trustpilot. This is just all the approach of just moving things forward in different areas throughout my day and my week.
I'll tell you how my vision for how I want to approach this. I'm totally failing at this right now, but what I really want to happen in 2026, sooner rather than later, is, and I think that this is like a general strategy that maybe other people have been using and can use, which is like focus on your primary one or two things where not only is it natural and easy and plays to your strengths as a creator, like for me, it's like video and podcasting, right? Like YouTube and podcasting, but also like it's also where you like to hang out. Like I like to watch YouTube, you know. Twitter, I like to scroll it and I tweet from time to time, but I'm not a high volume tweeter.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, I never touch. Facebook, I never touch. You know, so I'm naturally terrible on those platforms from a strategy standpoint. So I do, like, it's the age old like repurposing concept, right? And I've been doing a little bit of that, like where we cut, my editor will cut shorts out of my long forms but I'm only publishing them as YouTube shorts. I should be publishing them on other places. I should be. So my thought now is, again, I really do want to use AI agents for this. This might be like the number one use case for me for OpenClaw is like, I'm still going to create content the way that I've always naturally created it, YouTube videos and podcasts. And I don't want to change that. I like doing that. That's always where my best ideas are going to come out. And I want those to come from me, the human, Brian. You know? And so, like I was saying before, like even if it ends up being me, or even if I create social accounts for my agents, which I plan to do, you know, like I still want them to be able to, like what you talked about, like you jump around and log in and tend to the garden on Reddit and tend to the garden on Quora and on Bluesky and on YouTube. Like I don't do a lot of that. I just stick to my one or two channels that I just like to consume anyway. But if the agent can prompt me to say like, hey, you haven't posted to indie hackers in 6 months.
Yep.
But here's something that might fit for you, or here's something that you should reply to.
Yep.
You know, like that's something that like a good team member would be able to watch and prompt me to go do.
I mean, and
right?
I would use that too. I think that would be helpful for me as well. I think an easy way for anyone to start is to just, like I just said on Google, what is Brian Castle known for? And
productized services.
The interesting thing is, at least on my screen, the number one kind of feature snippet is from tutsplus.com in Vado. So there's a...
I mean, that's like 15 years ago.
This is why you need to start Googling yourself, asking Gemini, ChatGPT.
What was it? Like an article that I guest wrote in 2011?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Here's a nice fresh face of
how to use WordPress or something like that. Like
it's writing and designing a killer headline and how to scale and grow your online business by systematizing. So that's one thing they pulled. Then your website, then your LinkedIn profile, Brian Castle Builder Method. So at least you've updated your.
I've updated the company that I work for.
I'm noticing a lot of people, I won't mention names, but there's a lot of people who have not updated their LinkedIn profile. Even just to update your job and your company will help a lot with this.
Yeah, like you're right. Like, because even just people that you meet in the world, like they're gonna Google you, and also like professional, like people are gonna just check you out on LinkedIn. Like, what company is that person from? Like,
yeah. And I also think it'll bring up some other things, like your Mixergy interview from 2017 is on here. I think
that's like 8 years ago.
That's a good prompt though to say, oh, you know what? I should just reach out to Andrew and just see if he wants to do a follow-up episode. Because then we have an updated version of this thing that's already getting pulled. So yeah, and even like some of these past interviews, like there's one from 2022 where it says you're the founder of Zip Message. If you know that person, you can just write a quick email or get your agent to write a quick email that says,
it's so tiring to go out and like change all those names and links and like
but even just to write the email to at least say, hey, I just wanted to know if you could update the interview with something, and 10% of the people will do it. But
I've received those emails from, because we have random links in our Clarity Flow blog. And like, I'm too lazy to go update it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ignore that.
I mean, this is part of the work right now. And so, there's part of gardening that sucks. Pulling weeds is not fun. So another ranking factor that's just showed up in the last couple of months is now Facebook discussions and groups are ranking factors in Google again. And I don't like Facebook, but that's just part of the garden. I got to go on there if I want to win in this space. And the way people are finding Transistor is by Googling podcast hosting and seeing and they're like, oh, a Facebook discussion. I got to be there. That's just the job. I think you can.
But I also think that like fundamentally, like yes to all these things that we're saying, that you got to technically go to these websites and be active or respond to stuff. But that's not enough. To me, the way more important than any of that is just be interesting.
Yes.
Like you got to be doing something, and like people hate to hear that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, your product has to be interesting now. It can't just be another product that does the same thing as all your competitors. You have to know the reason why it is interesting to the customers who love your product the most, right? Like that like yes, that sounds like salesy and markety and you're self-promoting, but at the core of that, you're understanding why your best customers are paying you the money that they are paying you. It's because they really resonate with some idea, and you peel that back 10 layers deeper. Then you get into like content that is not salesy, but it actually means something to people. Like that's what people actually connect with. I mean, like you have to just really like care on that level. But once you do, then you can start to find the opportunities, like where does it make sense for me to like actually be helpful?
Yes. This is another, we probably want to wind down here, but the other key part, so interesting from that Lars Lofgren interview. I think this will be an earthquake for some people, and some people have already realized this intuitively. He basically said, if you're going to do organic now,
really one of the only approaches that works is founder-led marketing. He said that's always been a superpower, but now it is the interesting founders who are being themselves on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, who are generating kind of the best organic footprint to get found on Google, but also via LLMs. And the big line that I shared, I think it's at the beginning of the episode, is he's like, you either have to be the influencer or you have to hire the influencer. He's like, those are the two options for organic these days. And he said, if I had a SaaS company with a marketing team, basically every person I hire on the marketing team would have to agree to posting personally on some social network. So he said branded channels are dead. Like your branded YouTube channel, like your company YouTube channel, that's not. And we've seen this. Like go to the.
Like there are some branded stuff that comes up where it's still a person.
That's right.
Like, clearly they hired somebody and like their video is answering a question that I happen to be Googling.
Sure.
For.
Like Laracast is basically Jeffrey Way. But if you go to the Tailwind channel versus Adam Wathan's YouTube channel, there's a big difference in terms of engagement as well.
To that point, though, definitely I could see how like the founder-led thing is the thing that works best. But I don't know that I totally like. Yes, it's technically possible for a company to like hire a YouTube influencer type person to be your sole job is to be the person who creates YouTube video. I know like companies hire like developer educators, and like I guess that's a thing that sort of works. But Anthropic, I think, is killing it on this front, where they have their whole real team.
This is what I'm talking about.
Twitter accounts, and they have super interesting Twitter accounts, and you can even tell that like members of their team are not longtime Twitter people. Like Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, like he just joined Twitter, I think, like 3 months ago.
Yep.
You know, but he's not the only one. There's like 10 more than 10 Anthropic employees on Twitter, and yeah, they're promoting Claude product updates, but they're talking about what's interesting about them, and a lot of them are like, the person who is responsible for this new feature is the one who writes the tweet about what was interesting about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I started creating a list on Twitter to follow just those people. The Cursor team is also pretty good at this. I think they have a fewer number of people on their team doing it, but this is like real content talking about what's actually interesting about their product, the real problems that they solve. It's like real. So you don't have to be the CEO. You can have your team.
Yeah.
It goes back to this thing.
And Ahrefs does that. Like the person that everyone sees representing Ahrefs, I can't remember his name, but that's not the CEO. That's their CMO, I think.
I didn't even know that until recently.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like for many years I thought he was the CEO. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
But they're
another company that's been good at this forever. Basecamp. You got Jason Fried, you got DHH, you got Ryan Singer, you got Jameis Buck. There's all these old names of people that were representing the company.
Some of the guys like with their recent stuff, I feel like Jason and David seem to be a little bit more open to having their team be more visible, like sharing, like the designer behind Fizzy or whatever shared a thing, and like.
And by the way, the reason it works is the thing that you and I have been talking about basically since the beginning of this podcast, which is especially in an age of AI and synthesized content, human contact, human connection, being interesting as a human online is going to win. And so if you have the whole Anthropic team posting on Twitter all these interesting things about their work, about what they're discovering, little hacks. Oh, here's how we work with Claude, and here's a nice little list. Of course, that's going to do well, and way better than if someone sees like the Claude Code account. It's like, okay, some corporate shill is just shilling out, whatever. No, people want real human beings.
People.
They want to hear from Richard Branson. They don't want to hear from Virgin Mobile Twitter account, right? So
Yeah,
this has
and
always
clearly
been
they
true.
have different channels. Like their Twitter game is really aimed at the developers using Claude Code. But then they're going to do the Super Bowl commercial which is fantastic, by the way. Like the hits that they're doing on OpenAI for doing ads.
Yeah.
So that's obviously for the masses, for the consumers.
I think this is going to be a very interesting time. And again, it's disruptive because asking your whole team to post on their personal channels is a big ask for a lot of teams.
I know we're going long. Do you have like?
Yeah, I don't think I have a
minutes?
sauna appointment or anything. Let me just check my calendar.
No sauna. No sauna emergencies.
No
today?
sauna emergency.
I got one more thing.
Okay,
'Cause
let's hear it.
You mentioned Caleb Porzio.
Oh yeah. This episode, yeah.
I want to speak a little bit to what he was saying, but this is more general because I hear this sentiment come up a lot, right? Which is, okay, all these people keep talking about AI every day, but where are the products? Who's actually building products with like real products with AI, real SaaS tools with real customers? Like where are all the products, right? Like I hear that all the time. Number one, there are real products that are 99, 100% coded with AI today. I mean, I started a new show called Builder Stories, interviewed Arvid Kahl. 99% of his code is AI. He's doing serious MRR with his pod scan. Talked to Brennan Dunn, same thing, right message. Like, yeah, it started years ago, hand coded. It's Brennan Dunn's solo, him and agents doing all the work on. This is a real product with tens of thousands of MRR.
Yeah.
I have weekly episodes coming out showing real builders how they are really. I talked to Colleen Schnettler last week. That one just dropped. Real builders doing real product. It is really happening. I just did a private workshop with a team who's doing serious MRR for a niche industry. This is a team of 8 engineers who are all using Claude Code. It might not be the loudest thing you hear on Twitter, but like it's real now. Like and there isn't going to be this line in the sand and saying like that product is AI and that one is not. All the products, all the engineers are using Claude Code now. It's just a fact of life. That's the first thing I just wanted to say. But I was hearing Caleb. I'm such a fan of first of all how not only Caleb's work and the products that he does, but like the way that he does this solo podcast, and he's so open and honest, and it puts so much personality into it. I really respect that. He's really good at it. And I've been hearing his episodes. I especially tune in when he talks about his journey with AI lately. I think Adam Wathan's journey also plays into this. Caleb on his recent one was talking about is AI really actually speeding me up?
Yeah.
It makes a lot of things easier, but what I've actually built and shipped this even faster. I could sort of see how that would be the experience that someone like Caleb would have with it. And I'm not saying that he's using it at any like rudimentary level. He's probably using it at a super deep level.
Yeah.
But the difference between what he is doing and what most other product teams are doing is that Caleb's product is code. Livewire, like his product is Livewire, is code, or Alpine, or like Flux. Like he is creating code products, which means he has to be super hands-on with exactly how his products are crafted at the code level.
Yeah.
But product people who are creating job to be done interfaces that real customers, not that his customers are not real, but like businesses have use cases to use SaaS tools that like your customers on Transistor don't care about how the code is crafted underneath the interface.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not to say that like it's bad code or people building with Claude Code don't care about the architecture. They obviously do, and it's gotten much better now. But there's just no question that teams can ship and build real products for real customers like 1,000 times faster now.
Yeah.
it's just the nature of the product. Like if you're using AI to refactor a service class that like powers one component of a code related product, you're only touching a tiny thing. You're not actually shipping an end-to-end solution for a job to be done product. Like it just really comes down to the actual use case around the product. Like, so yeah, like if you're really just using it as like at the code level, like I could see how that would slow things down.
Yeah. I think, I mean, the thing I appreciate about what Caleb was saying, which I think we do need, we need a counterbalance to all the hype and excitement and put this into my veins and like, let's go, is some thoughtful reflection of like, how do I feel about this? And I mean, the challenge, and there's still lots of unanswered questions. Like what we don't know, like for sure, there's going to be, 6 months, 12 months, 36 months from now, there will be a whole bunch of these apps that have been built with Claude code, not even opening an IDE. Nobody really knows what the code looks like. That will start to have problems that all of a sudden Claude code can't fix. And
I would push back on that though.
Yeah.
Because I do think that these engineers do know how the code is architected. They're just not writing the lines of code.
Yeah.
There's a new type of engineer. There's the vibe coder who has no idea what their code base does. There's the hand coder who's resistant to AI, and they are behind the times now. It's 2026. You are not doing it the professional way if you're not using AI.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming mainstream where you are a professional full stack engineer, designer, developer, product person. You know how your product is architected. You know how database modeling works and interfaces and user experience. You know how all those dots connect. You are putting that knowledge into specs and into prompts and into and using Claude code to bring those ideas to life like so much faster. Like, and like that's the thing. Like they can write code. They can read every line of code. And a lot of times they don't have to read every line of code to trust that they've crafted their Claude code systems in a way with the right training, the right prompts, the right systems, the right specs.
Yeah.
They're now at a level that they trust that it's actually writing and architecting things the way that they expect without even needing to of course they have like code review and test suites and QA processes, but like, of course there's a lot of code that I don't review that I still ship, but I know how it's built,
Yeah. I can't understand though people's feeling of like, where's this going? Because there is this, so let's see, even put the code issue aside. There's still just so many, like, even me, I'm just like, like,
it is scary, like, especially the OpenClaw.
I've always said, listen, people, you can vibe code an app all you want, but the true product people will still stand out. Maybe that won't be true in 6 months. Maybe there won't even be, we won't even need apps because everything will be an API that is just talking to everyone's personal Claude bot. And we will have no websites, no apps, no SaaS, no anything. Like that's all theoretically possible, right? Like why have podcast hosting when you can just get OpenClaw to just like, hey, build me this thing and I'm going to record the first episode now?
I think it's like yes to all, really. I think it's like on the one hand, I think it's overhyped that SaaS is going to go away so quickly. I don't think it's going to go away so quickly, especially for well-established companies.
Yeah.
And especially for companies that serve businesses and businesses, it's almost like the larger the company, the more behind the times they are with adopting internal AI solutions, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know we're rehashing stuff that we've talked about before, but I do think that there's going to be more, there already is more of any new idea that comes out everyone has the option of like, go use that new product or just vibe code a similar thing that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think that pattern is going to play out again and again. You're already definitely seeing it in open source stuff, like things like Agent OS. There is like 1,000 other Agent OSs.
Yeah.
You know, and it's literally like every developer's like personal opinion on how spec-driven development should essentially work. It's like, and you know, and that's great. Part of it is like, that's great. Like I was talking to Bruno Bornstein on the Builder Stories podcast yesterday. Like he just created an open source thing that creates a Kanban view in the CLI. It's like a CLI Kanban coder thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, cause that's how his brain works, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
so here's this is
so like Fizzy or even the video podcasting thing. It's like, yeah, I look at that. I'm like, I could buy that or I could vibe code it.
Or I could build it. Yeah. And here's my thinking. In the short term, I think I have a fair amount of confidence that distribution is going to matter more than anything. So the reason Agent OS is more important than all the other ones is Agent OS has more distribution. More people know about it. That is going to be an advantage. But the other thing that kind of worries me, and I'm sure other people are feeling this intuitively, and I think it's one reason everyone's so panicky and like feeling all this pressure right now, is I'll say the quiet part out loud. Part of me is feeling like I need to make as much money as I can right now
before it all comes crumbling down.
Because it feels like this is the window, and my worry is that in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, all of a sudden the only people making money will be DigitalOcean, AWS, and OpenAI, Anthropic, etc. There will be no other businesses except for, these basically hosting and infrastructure companies and LLM companies. And I that just saying that is just like, part of me is joking, but there's this other part of me that's like feeling this pressure. Like I need to make as much money as I can right now because I might need to like provide for my kids and their future for a long time.
I was hanging out with a SaaS founder at Big Snow last week, and he runs a very successful SaaS. It's been well established for a very long time, has a great customer base, and it is still growing in 2026. And he was saying how, and they sell to like small business owners, a lot of like non-technical customers, and he was saying that he was sort of expressing the same type of thing that you were just saying, like kind of like, I just don't want anything to change because it's been so good for our business for the last 10 years. Like, why does this AI thing have to shake everything up? I'm kind of scared for the future, a lot of uncertainty. And I was saying to him, and I believe this, I'm like, of all the people that I know, I feel like he's one of the most safe. And I think that about you too. Podcasting space has its own unique competitive challenges, I would say, but the fact that you have an established SaaS with a well-established customer base means that like,
and a footprint that currently LLMs are highlighting.
Yes, yeah, and exactly. And same thing with him too. And it's like,
I just wonder.
That's the one,
I think
like
the anxiety.
To me, it's much more. To me, more of the anxiety is like, this is why I'm not starting a SaaS business in 2026. Like, if you were trying to start one, like I know that there's a lot of people who are, and you can be successful. There's a lot of different ways to be successful, but I'm not playing that game anymore. It's just too hard to do that, in my opinion. For me, and like to me, it's like I could see why it would be so difficult because of AI to try to break through as a new player. But if you are established, you have thousands of customers, like,
I mean, but
the customers are not all going to vibe code your app tomorrow.
The stress, though,
that's just not going to happen.
The stress is like, first they came for the sites that ran on documentation like Tailwind. Then they came for the established course brands like Laracast. Like now we're seeing, it was like before, it's like, no, you're going to be fine. Like Jeffrey Way, like you'll be fine. You know, Laracast is an established brand. It's loved. Everybody who starts in Laravel starts with Laracast. And he's just posted this video on his YouTube. I'm done. It's like he had to fire 40% of his staff. He's like, this is having a real repercussion.
I gotta check out that video. I didn't see it. I did hear about the layoffs though. But the you know, I also think that there's a spectrum of product type, and it goes back to, this is an age-old like product marketing thing, which is like the more essential your tool is to the way that revenue comes in, or the way that you like podcasting, any sort of hosting based business is, to me, has always been fantastic, because it's like your podcast is hosted on it. Like the pain of canceling is very disruptive. Even if you stop podcasting, you still want your podcast to be online.
Yeah.
And you can say the same thing about any other tool that is like really part of the way that you sell your product or the way that you deliver your services to customers. The ones that are much more, that I would say are much more at risk now, are the nice to haves, the to-do list apps, the note takers, the little project management stuff, the little super niche tool that does this one utility task over there. Like, yeah, I'm still subscribed to a lot of them, but like at some point there could be a little paper cut that I'm like, I'll just vibe code a better version, you know?
I do think there's something about this pressure that a lot of people are feeling, which is, you know, for Adam and Tailwind, part of him was like, listen, he was making a lot of money for a long time, and that window was open for a while, and then he saw that window start to close. And I think a lot of people can look at that and go, fuck, are we in another, like, is this the window? Is it open now? And then,
but also like what Adam is doing with UI, is it UI.sh?
Yeah. I mean,
what a domain. I mean, but like this is the kind of thing, like, I'm not saying everyone needs to go out there and start a new brand or start a new product, but like he was obviously very public about the business challenges he had. And he's like taking them head on. Him and Steve are learning how to design with AI and launching a whole new product and brand line out of it.
Yeah.
And like sort of like, I hate this term, but like lean in and start to be creative. And like, especially for him, and where his product is code related and clearly it has had an impact on his business. It's like, okay, time to get creative and actually figure something out. You know?
Time to pivot into something related. I think in the short term that will work. I want to recognize for a lot of people out there, I think there is a lot of people that are feeling like, I got to work super hard right now. I got to code my brains out right now. I got to figure this out right now, because eventually the only thing left to do is going to be plumbers, you know? And that's part of what Caleb was talking about. Is like, man, it's like, eventually is the only thing left going to be plumbing?
Start an HVAC company.
I mean,
you know?
yeah. All right. We should probably leave it there. Thanks,
dude,
everyone, for joining us here in the chat. We had all sorts of great people. Keith and Dave Jones and Ryan Hefner. Great. Bo is here as well. Great to see y'all.
Good times. Good to catch up.
And I think I'm here next week. Are you here next week?
Yeah, I'm here all of February. And then I'm supposed to have a trip out to Park City in March. Okay. But there is no snow in Park City.
There's no
snow. We're trying to figure out
a lot of people. So we'll be back February 12th. Good to see you again. Yeah. See you next week.
Later, folks.
Bye.